My ayahuasca video blew up and the comments got wild pretty fast. It all landed on my birthday while I was traveling with no sleep and planning a wedding. A lot of people asked how I integrated the ceremonies into daily life, or if I integrated them at all. So I'm going to show you what integration really looks like and tell you a ceremony story about a grandmother, a double dose, and how loving the darkness to death is a secret that ties it all together. I wasn't expecting that video to do much of anything, really. I'd posted it a week before with a different title and it got 86 views. So I changed the title, re-uploaded it, then I flew to Indonesia and forgot all about it. And I wake up on my birthday and it's blowing up. I thought, awesome, what a great birthday surprise. Then I saw the comments, and most were supportive and wanted to know more. Then there were the nasty ones, and I just didn't expect such visceral personal attacks. It's not my first day on the internet, but when you're on this side of about 300 judgmental comments, it lands a lot differently than when you're posting a shithead comment on someone else's video. I've done that more times than I care to admit, so I reckon I got a taste of my own medicine, didn't I? Anyway, I started to feel stress lurking under the hood and waiting to come out at the worst possible moment. And that usually just looks like a bitchy mood. Snapping at the wife, freaking out in traffic. So I tried to deal with it at the source before it got into my head. I went into my body and found the spot where that tension always hides. My gut, right here. I laid down on my back, closed my eyes, and I tried to ignore my thoughts. Just doing that gave my nervous system the attention that it needed. The feeling in my gut let go in about 5 minutes, along with most thoughts of retaliation, and I went to sleep. And I did that probably 4 or 5 times over the course of the next 2 weeks as the video was going off. That's what integration looks like. It's not sexy. It's not some big fancy thing. But let me tell you a story about the ceremony that taught me how to do all of this and why it matters. The ceremony was at a place that everyone called the Mountain. And I'd never been there before, but I always wanted to go. And it was also with a new shaman named Leah, who was this 84-year-old grandma that had this real sort of loving energy about her. I always wanted to sit with her too. Well, it turns out the first 2 nights sucked. I didn't like the space and I didn't trust the people. I just didn't like it. I wasn't used to it. It made me feel like naked and insecure. Leah could tell I was having a hard time. So the next day she sat down with me and told me that she'd lifted something off me the night before and the ceremony the next night should be a little better. And then she said, you should take just a little bit more tonight. Don't worry, I'll take care of you. So I did. That night I took twice as much. I double dosed. And within about 15 minutes, the whole room went off. I'd never seen it do this before. The woman in the corner started yelling that she was blind. People started crying and moaning, saying they were sorry and all kinds of shit. It was chaos. I'd never seen it do this before, like I said, but I was getting nothing. And I thought, oh, I guess I got off easy tonight. Everybody else is going crazy. But I couldn't have been more wrong. At first, it was great. I was laughing and having a good time. It felt beautiful. I was having, like I said, I was having a great time and really enjoying the night. But then all of a sudden the mood changed and I started to feel the darkness that everybody else was dealing with. And ayahuasca came on like a freight train and I fell into one of the darkest and most beautiful nights that I've ever had. It was so strong, I begged her to give me some space. Like sometimes you can ask the medicine, give me some space to recover here. And not that night, she just said, no, you messed around for 2 nights. You got work to do, so get to it. And I knew this was just going to be one of those nights. So I settled in. And I kept getting the message, if you purge, you'll feel better. Well, some people purge by puking, some sweat, some shake, and some people even shit their pants. I've never done that. I cry, but I didn't want to cry that night because I was still stuck in this tough guy protection mode. And I needed help. And I think that night I would have gladly shit my pants to get some relief. But I didn't. Instead, I crawled up to Leah on my hands and knees and flopped down, face down, ass up. And Leah worked on me like that for the next hour and a half. She just leaned over me and she said, take 3 deep breaths into your heart. You are love. You were always love. You will always be love. And eventually, my mind let go and I slipped into pure consciousness. And with that came the tears. And my eyes just started like pissing water, like an ungodly amount of water coming out of my eyes as I started to cry. And I separated from my body. And I could hear a little boy wailing in the darkness. And he was in agony, and I wanted to help him so bad. And that little boy was me. I sounded like a little kid. But every time I tried to pull myself together to help him, the medicine would come back with a vengeance. And I just couldn't handle the effects. It was way too strong. There was nowhere to hide. It's hard to explain, but when we're ignoring the maintenance we need for our soul, we pick up hitchhikers. Think of them like something your consciousness knows is there, but your brain refuses to acknowledge. It latches on and it creates havoc in our lives. As Leah rubbed my back and whispered, you are love, I believed her. And when that belief came in, the darkness got pushed out of me and it personified outside my body. I could literally see it. And I don't want to give it too much attention, but a friend of mine used to call them the mud people. In the middle of all the chaos, I managed to pull myself together enough to channel the love I was feeling, and I gave it to those demons. I just loved the shit out of them until they realized it was over and they couldn't touch me anymore. And I said, you're no longer needed here. I appreciate what you've done for me, but it's time to go somewhere where you can't hurt me or hurt anyone else. And I'll never forget this. The last one turned around as he was leaving and he smiled at me. And then he gave me a nod like this. Like almost to say like, good job, man. And then they were gone just like that. And I came back to the room and everything had leveled out. Everyone else had settled up with their own demons. And even the air in the room felt lighter. It was a beautiful shared moment with people that I didn't even want to open up to in the first place. And we all sort of worked together to clean the room up and heal ourselves. So when people say, beware of unearned wisdom, there is nothing unearned about an experience like that. Nothing. You earn every second of it, every tear. And then Leah leaned over me and said, are you okay? And I said back to her, are you okay? I can't imagine what it would have been like to deal with that shit as an 84-year-old woman. And she just laughed, and the night ended not too long after that. And later on, her and I sat down in the main house to have something to eat. And I asked her, what the hell was all that about? Like, what were those things? And she explained how I picked them up and that they were all over the room that night. And then she said, matter-of-factly, don't take it personally. That's just what they do. It's their job. It all felt very personal to me, but after a long time, I started to realize that it doesn't really matter what anyone else does or what I pick up along the way. All that matters is how I tend to my own business before it turns into something that can hurt somebody else. So when I read a few nasty comments on the videos, I remember what I learned that night. If I can give the mud people love, I can pass a little bit of it on to the shitheads in the comment section. And if you look back on the video, I answered a few of them and I wasn't perfect, but I hearted every single one of them and I meant it from the bottom of my heart with all the love I could give. So take 3 deep breaths into your heart. Because you are love, you have always been love, and you will always be love. Then go out into the world and pass it on to the people who need it the most. And if you think about it, the main message of this video is probably this. You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life.